we had talked about the Lamar Jackson representative, unnamed at the time, contacting teams on his behalf and what a mess that was. On Thursday, late afternoon, the NFL sent a memo to all teams saying thou shalt not negotiate or talk to a man named Ken Francis, uncertified by the NFL Players Association. That person, and the way it was worded was he may be contacting teams. I think that was the product of a little political back and forth between the union and the league. And let me just say this. There's people who think the union ratted on Lamar Jackson because the memo from the league said the NFLPA has informed us that this is happening. The union, if they're aware of it, has an obligation under federal labor law to alert the NFL to it. They're doing the right thing. They're doing the only thing. They can't be aware of some player being represented by a non-certified agent and say nothing about it as a favor to the player. If they're aware of it, they have to say something. So however it happened, the league got aware of it. The league sent out a memo, slammed the door on Ken Francis negotiating or trying to get teams to make offers to Lamar Jackson. And now, Chris, I don't want to say Lamar Jackson's in checkmate, but he's in check. He's got to come up with a move now because only he can talk to the teams or he has to go hire an agent.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be interested to see what he does. To this point, though, I would figure, no, that just means he's going to talk to the team. But obviously this is, I know that Lamar put out a tweet with his usual eye roll emoji or whatever, which is almost now a telltale sign of oh, it's the truth. When he puts out that emoji, it's well, that's the truth then, because that's what he does. Right. But, Tom Pelissero, I know, wrote about the negotiating. We're getting into, immunized and things like that here a little bit. Okay, fine. He didn't negotiate. You and I know he didn't negotiate, but he's been calling teams.
No, because the teams wouldn't.
Exactly.
Because they wouldn't.
He's been calling on behalf of Lamar Jackson. Negotiate. Okay, no, fine line. Right. That didn't happen. The teams are too smart to do that. So, yeah, but either way, this is out there, and the NFL put this out there. They didn't put this out there because they were like, hey, let's just put this out there for fun, because it's real. The NFLPA, there's people in the NFL that are calling the NFL going, wait, this guy's calling because of Lamar Jackson. The NFL didn't put this out because they were like, hey, let's smear Lamar a little bit more here. That's people are being a little crazy with this conversation. So, yeah, I don't think there was any negotiating going on, but was there calling and interest of Lamar and talking and bridging the gap there? Absolutely. And, like you said, the NFL and the NFLPA had to do right here by the agents who were doing it the right way.
Look, I don't know if it goes back to the trends we've seen in our political realities for the past 8 or 9 years, where anything you just don't like to hear, you say it's wrong, you disagree with it, even if it's the truth. I go back to last year when Marquise Hollywood Brown was traded by the Ravens, and Lamar acted like he was surprised, like he didn't know that Hollywood Brown wanted out. And Hollywood Brown made it clear that Lamar did know. So he'll go on Twitter and he'll tweet some things that are diametrically opposed to the facts. And we've seen that over and over again, how he took issue with us when we were talking about his inability to get a massive shoe deal that he could have had if he would have had proper representation. And he did the LeBron James gif,
eye roll,
expressing dismay or disagreement or whatever. And people just assume, just like with Odell Beckham saying, nobody's ever quoted me as saying I want $20 million a year. And everybody just assumes he's telling the truth. And that his agents weren't asking for $20 million a year just because he said it. Oh, he said it. That puts it to rest. Who cares? We can say anything we want. That doesn't mean it's accurate. And we've seen that. Like you said, put on the eye roll emoji or the laugh until you cry emoji or whatever, and you just deny it. And in this case, look, and people say, well, how do you know? How you weren't there. You didn't take the call. You don't know that Ken Francis called these people. I want to measure my words here because it is a level of stupidity that we encounter all the time, especially on social media. We know people in the league. These people aren't lying to us.
Yeah, we know.
3 different people who work for 3 different teams coming up with the same damn lie that the same person called them, that called the others. I mean, this happened. It was happening, and the only chance, the only sliver that Lamar's telling the truth here is if Ken Francis did all this without telling Lamar, which I'm not going to say is impossible. it's unlikely.
Yeah.
That's the only way that he would be able to say Ken Francis didn't do it, if Ken Francis was doing it without Lamar being aware.
Yeah. I mean, that would be the only way. I don't think that's the reality of the situation, though. There is a relationship there between the two, and I don't know, Mike. I don't know if this means checkmate or not, but I just, again, Lamar, if the way this is, and you're the quarterback, and you got to be the one that's calling these teams. It's got to be you. You're the one that's got to do the work here. This is where you're saving the 3%. Now you have to do it. But yeah, it just continues to be one of the more odd situations I can remember in NFL history, recent history at least. Just this whole thing. It's crazy where we're at. I don't know where it's going, and I don't know if I see a happy ending when it's all said and done.
Unless he hires an agent, I think it's going in this direction. No offer sheet for Lamar Jackson. It comes down to whether or not he and the Ravens can work out a long-term deal by July 17. I don't think they will unless he hires an agent. And after that, then does he show up for 32-4? Do the Ravens offer him some sweetener? We've talked about maybe a per-game roster bonus up to $1 million a game to give him an incentive to play. Get to $49.4 million for the year if you start or play in all 17 games. That's a way to entice him to show up and play this year. But there's a chance he just doesn't play this year. There's a chance he never agrees to a deal. And then next year we do it all over again.
Oh,
the Ravens tag him again.
Yeah, that's going to hurt him ultimately.
And we're right where we were.
Right.
To not play for a full year, we still don't know what the impact of not playing for almost 2 years had on Deshaun Watson because we only saw 6 games. But the idea of a guy in his prime giving up a year of it over a contract dispute because he's unable and unwilling to accept the best offer the Ravens made, or not in a position to properly negotiate with other teams because he doesn't have an agent out there lining them up to get them to make him an offer sheet. If it comes down to him not playing at all in 2023, yeah, it's horrible for the Ravens, obviously, but it's not good for him either.
No, it's not. It's definitely not. I mean, you're losing another year of your prime where you're losing value to your overall self-commodity and what your worth is. That was not going to help him. Oh, wait, you're a year slower? Oh, wait, you didn't actually play football, so you need time to get back in? None of that's going to be a positive for Lamar. It's crazy that we're at this spot, and I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm with you. It kind of seems like we're going down that same road that you just explained. I wouldn't be shocked to see it all go there.
And the reality is, if he doesn't play this year, that's money that goes away that is never coming back. Just like the $41 million more that Josh Allen has made over the last 2 years, more than Lamar Jackson because he's had his deal in place. Allen's going to get paid again this year, and obviously, if Lamar doesn't play, he won't. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.